Crafting dreams from bits and bytes. Microsoft magic, it's out of sight. Got a Copilot, watch it take flight. Guiding through the code day and night. Crafting dreams from bits and bytes. Microsoft magic, it's out of sight.
Ricardo Wilkins here. How you doing? Thanks for joining us at another cap4copilot No, I get that mixed up all the time. This is Copilot Adoption Practices, cap4copilot. It is not cute for teams, which is champions using teams effectively. Another live stream that I do that I've been doing so long that I keep getting this one confused with that one. But anyway, you're here for Copilot and AI and all that good stuff. So I'm glad you're here. And today you're joining either on LinkedIn, YouTube, or if I did it correctly, you could be joining from Instagram as well, at Teamwork Cowbell. So if you are, welcome to the Instagram viewers, either live or on demand. If you are live, I think all of those platforms have comments. Feel free to use them to put a question in or just say hello. Tell me where you're joining from. I believe I am correctly monitoring the chat as well. So I'm happy to answer questions or pivot or respond as needed. So hit the comments if you can. But otherwise, great to see you. Happy Thursday here, May 22nd. And if you've been keeping score here, today's sessions, we're here to talk about, all things Copilot and best practices and tips and tricks. And today I thought I'd do a tip related to, as I call it, prepping your week with one click. So this will be partly showing you a prompt that could be useful for you to prepare for your week, but also how you might be able to do it with one click with a tool that I use called Stream Deck. Now, before you leave saying, I don't own a Stream Deck, so this has no value to me, there are other ways to get your prompt done, quote unquote, with one click as well. And so I'm going to start with that before I get specifically in the Stream Deck. Now, one that I don't really have a good way of showing, you may or may not have a keyboard that is programmable, right? Like you could turn one of the keys, especially one of those function keys that you hardly ever use, and make them do something like text, like putting text in a box that you're clicked in. That's one way to kind of do what we're going to do. So if you think you have a programmable keyboard, you should look into, pop out the instructions, take a look at that, see if you can program shortcuts or macros or key strings into that key. And then you will have a way of kind of doing what we're doing here today. If you didn't have that, again, even before we kind of get into devices, if you're in Copilot, some other ways that you could get your special prompt to kind of run for you. So there's a couple ways. One is the Copilot prompt gallery. So if you noticed, I'm in Copilot here, and down here, the special little, in fact, let me make it a little bigger here. The special little icon there is for the prompt gallery. So clicking that brings this up. This has a bunch of suggested prompts from Microsoft, but it also has the prompts that I have bookmarked. So you can see, just do this one, for example. And that's a good one to bookmark because it's big. You can kind of see here as I'm scrolling through it, there's a lot that I'm asking it to do. But with one click, I have pasted that here into my Copilot, prompt area, and now it's ready to run. And the way I got there, or got my prompt into that prompt gallery, was to, let's say if I go to a previous chat here, come up to the top. Okay, actually, let's just go. I think I had a big one in here. This one is probably the same one, actually. So I like this one, right? It's long. I don't want to have to retype it all the time. I want it easily available. So up here, I could copy it, and I mean now we're going real low tech. I could certainly copy the text and put it somewhere that I can get to quickly and use it that way. Put it in Notepad or whatever. But we can also hit this bookmark button to save it. That's how we get it into the prompt gallery for ourselves. So you can see this is one I've already saved. So it's already filled in. If I were to click it again, I'd be removing it from save, which I'll go ahead and do. And again, click it again to save the prompt. It's asking me to give it a title, whatever short title I want, and then the full prompt is there. I could edit it if needed, and then hit save, and that's going to save it into, again, that prompt gallery for me. Okay, and so you could have a bunch of them there. Okay, and then the other way that I might get at my prompts quickly, and in fact, let me go. I'm going to skip that one because this demo environment doesn't seem to have what I need there. So I'm going to skip that. That'll be a nice little teaser for another episode. But what we had there is the prompt gallery as your way of getting at it if you don't want to go low tech and just save your prompts off somewhere. Now, with all that being said, what I like is the approach that lets me really do it in one click without even having to think too much about the context of where I'm working. And that's where Stream Deck really helps. So in fact, let me bring up a few pictures here since you can't see my real world. But I do have a YouTube video. So a couple years back, or maybe a year, a couple years, Teams and Stream Deck, got a nice little relationship where those reaction buttons that you have in a meeting and things like turning on your camera, muting your phone, muting your mic, all got integrated into Stream Deck. So this device now became a one-touch way. Instead of me using my mouse to click the reactions on the screen when I'm ready to laugh or applaud or give a heart, I can hit an actual button on this device. And I did do a quick 1-minute video about it. When that launched, you can go online, search Teamwork Cowbell or Ricardo Wilkins. You'll find that. But again, what that looks like in real life, this is my actual Stream Deck. I use it for a lot, even beyond what we're talking about today. Very highly customizable. Edit. In a nutshell, these are hardware buttons that can be programmed to do hundreds of things. In this case, we're going to be talking about how I programmed it to push out this long prompt that I want when I want to prepare for the next day. As you can kind of even see from this picture, I can certainly have multiple prompts ready to go. And you can kind of see here, I've got other buttons that do other things. I think these are opening browser profiles or something like that. But the image on the buttons is customizable, all that good stuff. And behind the scenes, once you have a Stream Deck, the place you go to customize it kind of looks like this. And so you can see, for instance, this is the page that has the Teams icons on it. In fact, let me make this make that a little bigger. So it's got all the Teams icons on it, and you can kind of see from this that the device has multiple pages. So yes, it does have 15 buttons there, but when I start adding pages, I could scroll through pages to get to other things. And I do have multiple pages worth of things. I have a page that's dedicated to turning my lights on, another one dedicated to the different desktops I use, all of that, all this stuff. And as a streamer, on YouTube, this is it. I've used it for switching scenes. Gamers use it, all this stuff. But we're not here to really dive into that. But you can kind of get a feel on the side here that there are all these different ways that you can, or tasks and items that you can pop onto these buttons to make them do things. In the case of what we're talking about today, that Copilot button that I have there, behind the scenes, when I configured it, it goes and does a multi-action that basically it means the button can do more than one thing. That's just how versatile this tool is. And if we dig even deeper, what that button for me is doing is a bunch of things. Now, at its basic level, I really just want it to do text, and that's what this fourth action is. You can see down below, this is going to just paste whatever text I want, and the text I want is in that box, and that text ultimately is what we see over here, this very long prompt that I use to prepare, and we'll get to that in a sec. Now, if you are a Stream user, this other stuff may interest you, and I might need to do a separate session on it. But if you're a Stream Deck user that has tried this in the past, you may have been frustrated by, well, I've got to go all the way into Copilot. I've got to click into the text box and then hit the button. Well, what have I really gained? And I would agree with you to some degree, which is why some of these other features are useful. So this feature here opens a particular profile for me, a particular browser profile, and makes it the active window. That's a key step, right? Then goes to the Copilot website, m365.copilot.com, I think it is. There's a little delay because I know that it takes time sometimes for those windows and screens to come up. So I've forced a delay. And then once that's done, I know that browser's open. I know my cursor's in the box ready to go. Now I can paste the text, and then I do another delay because it's a lot of text. And I want to give the computer time to put the text in before it goes to the next step. And you can even, as you can see here, make Stream Deck hit the enter button after it's pasted the text as well. And I think in another thing I do, I actually delay the enter button as well, just to make sure that all of this text can be put out. If it was a short string or short piece of text, then I would probably not need that many delays. So again, that for the Stream Deck users out there, this kind of goes into how you could do multiple actions to kind of get really a one-touch feel where no matter what I'm working in, that button will open the browser, put my cursor where it needs to be, put the text in, hit enter, and begin the process, right? Outside of the fancy Stream Deck stuff, though, at the end of the day, what we're doing, whether it's Stream Deck, whether it's a programmable keyboard, whether we're copying and pasting, we are grabbing this big piece of text and putting it into Copilot to help us prepare for the day. And again, it's just nice when that is done by literally just reaching. I mean, that's reaching over and just hitting the button. And of course, if I have multiple prompts, I have seen folks where all 15 of these buttons have the Copilot logo on it, each with its own prompt. I don't know how they keep track. I mean, you can sort of see it here. I have the ability to write some text on it to describe what that is. But if these were 15 Copilot buttons, that might be a little little much to keep straight in my head in terms of what prompt I'm about to hit. But all that being said, let's talk about the prompt itself. So we do a lot of summarize my email prompts, right? And you know, in this series, we've gotten more elaborate with it, not just summarize my email, but we get elaborate. We use our techniques for good prompting to kind of make it into a table and give it ratings and help us figure out if something's urgent or, you know, priority and things like that. This one is trying to do similar things. So it says, I'm trying to prepare, you know, I'm giving it the context. I'm trying to prepare for tomorrow's workday. What tasks do I need to carry over from previous days? What do I need to prepare for most urgently because it impacts tomorrow? I want you to look at my email, my calendar, and my Teams chats. If for me, I have customers, so my email is filled with customer related stuff. So I added, if the customer name is obvious, include that in a header. You might say maybe project name or something. If the topic, like the technology I need to prep for or learn, or the date is obvious, include that in a header as well. Keep the responses short and to the point. Okay, so that is the prompt that I am putting into this one-touch button, because that's a lot to type, but it's also useful. Let's see how useful it actually is. So if I come over to, in this case, I'm going to go to Teams and then go to Copilot. I believe I did this already, so I should be able to go to a previous chat. Let me see here, see more. Here we go. So this first one, let's see. Yep. So I pretty much put it in there verbatim. And here's what I got. And again, we always have to remember with me, I'm in a demo environment that's not very active, doesn't have a lot of the users. So I try my best to kind of make it feel real world, but it's not going to be as interesting as if I did this on my actual inbox and emails and chats and things. But we get the gist of it. It did look through the few emails and chats that I have, and it did find some things in its attempt to help me prepare for the day. And it put them in these nice little, I didn't even tell it about these lines and things. It kind of just used what I asked for. So it gave it a title. It said status. This one's overdue. What's the action that it thinks I should take? Here's another one. And it came up with these icons on its own. I didn't tell it to do that. So it put a tag of urgent on this one, so forth and so on. This one, it found a meeting. It says that I have a meeting tomorrow. Actually, that's a sample meeting on my sample calendar here. Gave me the time. It actually gave me a link to the organizer of it, and, you know, native integration here. I mean, that's a full blown people card. I'm hovering over it, and this is coming up, ready for me to look at. So it told me I haven't RSVP'd for it yet. That's good info. Obviously, these links, click it once and I can go to that actual meeting and kind of see what's going on there. So that's a cool one. And then, of course, at the end, all the references to all the things that it used in order to put this summary together, right? So I could dive into any one of these to kind of get a feel for it. But I mean, this alone, right? How many emails and stuff? This is, I don't know, it's like 20 emails and things. It looks like all emails that it used to give me about 5 key things to get ready for. So that's pretty helpful. I did not have to read 20 emails. I got this summary. Now I did it again and tweaked it a little bit, and I thought that this was interesting too. So I basically tweaked it. I kind of changed some of the wording, put some dashes in there. And at the end, I said to use Markdown to format the task clearly and make the information easy to read and prioritize. So I got a little different look. I thought one thing was interesting. I mean, you can see here, this is a link to this particular meeting, but also it kind of had a native inclusion of the actual meeting here. I mean, this is a nice look, right, for it, as well as a button. I can, you know, ask a question about this meeting. So that button was right integrated into here. So if my environment had more meetings like this, that would have been cool to get these little thumbnails and these little ask buttons and things. And then I tweaked it a little bit more. I forget what I really did here, or maybe I just tried it again. Actually, this time I said I'm trying to prepare for work next week. So I kind of wanted to broaden the scope of it, but otherwise this is the same. And then it got a little different. So I think this is like the customer name there. Put some titles on it. Um, Again, task, status, action. So it kind of rolled these out there. You can see this one is meeting related. It put a link that can take me right to that meeting, as well as again those questions embedded in. So again, this is a subtle feature, but it's nice, right? I mean, right within my results, being able to interact with the meeting that it's referencing, not just click it and go to the meeting, but ask a question about it, things like that. And again, several, about 20 different emails that it pulled from to get this. So this is a pretty good summary. This is something that I think I could use to prepare me for the next day. And the key here today really is this nice summary I could get all through one click on my Stream Deck device in my case. Maybe, one other way to do this could be, again, you can see my chats from previous sessions are there. That's how I got to these. So in theory, I could click on on that previous chat each day and get back up to here. I could hit edit, which puts the prompt down in the text again, expecting me to make a change, but maybe I don't want to make a change. I just want to fire it off again and see what it does, right? And so it's going again. And again, each time looks a little different. I get that question a lot, how come I can't get the same response each time I use it? AI is a non-deterministic system. What you ask it on Monday, and really what you ask it 1 minute to the next just could be different. There's just so many factors out there that would determine relevance and all that good stuff. It's an AI thing. So keep that in mind. The last thing in our last few minutes here that I just wanted to plug, I think I copied that correctly, is, so this is your standard Copilot ask of, help me prepare. Now, if you are an M365 Copilot licensed user, you will have access to what's called the Frontier program, which today gives access to a couple of new deep reasoning agents, one of which is called Researcher. So you may have heard some things about it, maybe haven't used it, but essentially it is, it's your Copilot plus deep reasoning capabilities to basically give you a much more expanded answer. I have demonstrated in different meetings where, Copilot, I ask it a question about something, it gives me 2 pages. I ask Researcher the same thing, it gives me 6, right? It's like asking high school graduate versus a PhD candidate, and what would the PhD candidate give you to answer your question versus no shade on on any of those things. I'm just trying to help make that comparison. So I'm going to put that into Researcher here and see what happens. And so Copilot will do its thing in seconds. Researcher, depending on what you ask, might take minutes because it's doing a lot of stuff here. And the first thing it does is ask me a question to kind of get a little more context about what I'm doing. So it's saying, I want to make sure I understand the request. You got any specific projects that should be prioritized? So it already understands my request, but it's saying anything specific, you want a detailed report, a summary of tasks. I'm going to say, yes, include a summary of tasks at the end. Sure. Most times though, I just tell it to go ahead, just do, take what you just heard from me and do what you do. But we'll see what this does. So I'm going to get that going, and this thing's going to bake for a second. And we got a couple minutes, so we got some time, but you can see it starting to think. And it's actually giving me a clue as to what it's doing behind the scenes. I'll actually make this a little bigger. So it's beginning the research. It's starting to pull together resources or sources. It's planning some things. It's identifying tasks and headlines. It's still thinking. It's exploring sources. So it's giving me insight into what it's doing. There's a lot of iterative kind of queries it's making on the background, trying to kind of get to some point of diminishing return in terms of the value of its own responses. So it's really digging deep. It's, obviously digging into all of the emails and chats and all the things that I have access to. It's considering relevance. It's exploring recent tasks. It's looking in my emails and calendar. So it's still going, right? Still going. This is far longer than we're used to with your typical Copilot prompt. It's considering tasks for a meeting. It's opening meeting detail. Okay, so it's looking at the project collaboration sync meeting. And this is my first time actually trying this prompt in this demo environment. So I actually have no idea what it's going to generate. But again, you remember what we just saw with what we did in normal Copilot. It's still thinking about it. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to use Researcher, be ready, go grab some coffee, be ready to sit back and let it do its thing. Because it takes a minute. While it's going, speaking of coffee, I did used to do a coffee with the cowbell, and I would do an early morning session on Teams and things like that. I also had the decaf edition of Coffee with the Cowbell, which I did it in the evening. So you got to be a super geek like me to get up early or stay up late to talk about Microsoft stuff. I'm considering doing that again for Copilot. See if we get any takers for that. If you are in the chat and would wake up early or stay up late with me, let me know. I won't be surprised if there isn't anybody that goes in the chat to say that. Now we are still going here. It is really diving deep on my task. Okay. Again, another useful thing for a one touch, because literally what I might do is touch that button and then go get some coffee, right? And let this thing churn and come back, and hopefully it is done. I'm tempted to hit the stop button to just see what it's got so far. But we do have a couple minutes left in our session, so I'm going to let it go. I probably should have started this at a few minutes before, but we'll see. But so even if we, don't get time to see the end result, I'll certainly, post it to the blog, teamworkcowbell.blog, if you want to check it out. But if nothing else, you at least know it's out there. The Researcher agent. You can get it by going to Get Agents and searching for Researcher, or start searching for Frontier, and you'll find it there. This guy's still chugging along, and we know it's not like hung up because it's telling us step by step, what it's doing. So that's good. And yeah, David says he'll stay up late or get up early to learn. Awesome. Got one taker. Good stuff. So this thing is really working. And it's interesting because this is my demo environment doesn't even have a huge amount of content in it. So but it's digging in there. So I don't think we're actually gonna I don't know. I'll give it another minute. We may not be able to see the end result. I know you guys got plenty of important stuff to do. Here we go. I think we're good. All right. See, you do jazz hands long enough, you can make anything work. All right. Let's take a look at what we got. Remember what we saw before. Let's take a look at what we got. So it tends to write it more in prose, like paragraphs. It's like a thesis paper almost. So we'll see carryover tasks from previous days. It's talking about a project management meeting here. This report needs to be finished. So this is more so than the bullet points. This is something I really need to read to kind of see what's going on. Some candidate, job thing. And I was probably doing a demo for a HR related thing, but it found that. So just saying that needs to be carried over. My urgent task for tomorrow, it found one. Found a couple. These are things that I don't remember seeing in when General Copilot did it. So, and then a summary of tasks. So not quite as long, but it got a little more detailed on some things and found some things that the other one didn't. And then of course references at the end. Actually, let's look at these references. Actually, more references than regular Copilot, and Copilot only used email. Researcher found loop pages, found PDFs, found a SharePoint page, found chats. So like I say, it dug deep. And then we don't have to just stop there. I could continue to ask researcher questions, and I could keep rocking and rolling. So I'm glad we were able to see the end. Glad you hung in there with me. But that's something to keep in mind. Again, you need a license for the full M365 Copilot to be able to have access to that. But that's something you might want to try out. So got a lot done today. Put your thoughts, comments in the chat. Hit me up on whatever platform. Glad you hung in there with me. We're here pretty much every week, but you can go to that aka.ms/cap4copilot to see when the next episode's happening and to see all the previous episodes. All right. Be sure to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. All right. I'm Ricardo Wilkins. I'm done. Thanks for hanging with me. And we will see you next time. All right.